It's August 7th, 2014, and it's post-excavation video on building 113. The aim of the season was to remove the foundation of building 113 and get to previous occupation phase of this particular space. It proven to be a really difficult task because the foundations of the building were really deep, and most of the season were spent on removing the massive amount of infill that you can see over here. This was unit 21140, and by the end of the season it was 20 metric tons. It's not fully excavated yet. We still have foundation visible in this corner, but like I said, most of the season we were removing the infill and the foundation walls, trying to understand how this building was built. So right now the story is that there was a previous occupation phase in here, and it was probably open area. You can see the midden-like layers over here that at some point were abruptly cut. You can see cut going here. And on this surface, that was really stepping surface in here, foundation walls were built. And they were built in a very particular way. You can see it over here. And here the foundations are don't go that deep and as in the northern part of the building when they are almost 1 meter high. But this one illustrates how it was done. So basically, the foundations were put after they made the cut and prepared the surface, probably put a little infill. They put 1 or 2 courses of bricks, and then they filled this whole space all together. The fact that the actual wall is not standing directly on the foundation, but a little bit towards the north, points that this part of the space had to be filled at some point. We had more evidence from the eastern wall, where we could actually see the lenses and infill of the building going into the mortar, or what was used as a mortar, but because probably the same material that was filling the space were used as a mortar for the foundations. So we could see actually lenses and the fire spot that was going into the mortar and even into the in-between wall fill. During the erection of the building, they also put some packing layers of pure clay. You can see one lens over here and another over there. However, by the end of the season, when we removed the actual wall of the building, so similar as before, the foundation wall and then the proper wall on top of it, again, not directly on top of it, we found out that there was a plaster and then a plaster vertical line indicating probably a crow hole that was sealed at some point. So we don't know the relation between the midden layers over there and probably the space connected to the building 114 that was over there with this area. But we suspect that the building had to be removed completely when the cut for the building 113 was made. And that gives us some stratigraphic idea on when that happened, that it was after sealing this space and creating space 87. What's interesting also about the foundation walls is that they were made from reused bricks, and we still don't know where the reused bricks were from, but most of them had plaster on their surface. It was sometimes pointing towards inside of the space and sometimes to the outside, so they basically put it very randomly, and the courses of bricks were really irregular, so they were not always directly on top of each other. They were sometimes stepping in that way. And like I said, sometimes there was gaps in the wall that were just filled with the same infill that was in the building itself. So by the end of the season, we started excavating the layers of midden, so the previous occupation phase. We prioritized the top layers of it as a unit 21545. And we get the feedback from the labs that it was indeed midden material, not typical Çatalhöyük midden, less trampling and reworking visible. And also in the section you can see that there are not many typical ashy dark layers in it, but midden anyway. The lithic materials indicate that it was from the level 4040G, which is roughly contemporary with late phases of building 51 and 52 and building 49. Also, the slope of the midden indicates that it was dumped from the south, so in some way we can connect it with those two buildings. By the end of the season, after removing the midden layers, we found out at least two phases of supporting walls that were built over here. This is the first phase that you can see goes over here. It was probably cut together with the midden to put the infill for the building 103. And then there is a second phase that you can see over here. We can also see that the wall 7378 is sloping towards our space. So probably the walls were to support that, or to keep the midden, or the other way around. So to keep the midden in this space from getting it to the space 99. Also, by the end of the season, we found a southern wall that defines maybe some previous occupation phase, because we can see the plaster in here. It's too early to say that it's an actual building wall from previous building, but it gives us an idea what to do next season, which will be probably remove the rest of the foundation. So, like I said, it still gets deeper in the northern part of the building. So the foundation of building 113 still are remains that has to be removed. And then we can excavate further down the midden or previous occupation phase that you can see over there to exactly see the relations between those walls and the southern wall that we found. And I think that's all.